try to dispense a little bit of wisdom to help you not squander your life. And I'm reading this book called The Girls Who Went Away. It's about this time between the 40s and the 70s where over 500,000 babies were given to non-family adoptions. And there was kind of a cultural pressure. This is before birth control was widely available, but after kind of a quality of sexual liberation that allowed people to have cars, not cars, have sex. And there's a relationship between having cars and having sex that I could talk about at a different time. But yeah, so a bunch of pregnancies, and these girls were pressured to give their kids away from to adoption. And the stories are really horrifying because these girls are now old enough to realize that they didn't really have to give their kids up. But it was a cultural moment where that just kind of seemed to be the thing. And I was just thinking, right now I have an 11-year-old who's about to turn 12, a 9-year-old daughter, and a 6-year-old son. So 2 girls and a boy. And I'm just thinking, if my 11-year-old was, 14, 15 and became pregnant, what would I do? And I wouldn't even be that mad at her, because by that time, what does being mad do? Right. And it just wouldn't be that big of a deal in this household. It just wouldn't be that big of a deal. I mean, it'd be unfortunate and not non-ideal, but we could work it out. Now, the problem would be if the father is an idiot. The father's just another kid. That means, I end up raising 2 kids. I got to raise my daughter's kid, and I got to raise the father because I'd like them to stay together. If he's just a normal kid, I'd like to think I'd raise the kind of daughter who, if this would happen, the guy wouldn't be an absolute idiot. Unless the guy's an absolute moron, we could make something work. And I don't even think it would screw up my daughter's life trajectory anymore. I would just take care of the kid. Like, the kid would just stay home with us, and my daughter would live her life, go to college and all of that. And then that would just, and we'd work it out with the father's family too. And then, at 20 years old, the kid would mature like or 21, 22. Once both people are done with college, the kid would mature like a bond, and all of a sudden they'd be gifted with a 7-year-old fully functional kid. It doesn't have to be that big of a deal. The idea, and I'm not even wealthy, but the idea that middle-class people couldn't absorb an unplanned infant is ludicrous. Ludicrous. And apparently this was middle-class and upper-middle-class people who would pressure to give away their kid to avoid the stigma of being an unwed parent to someone who's not a family. I would definitely not send that kid to a daughter. My daughter got pregnant when she was 14. There's no way I would opt for that kid to go to a non-family adoption. That's absurd. How selfish would you have to be? It wouldn't even be the worst thing, like the most screwball thing that happened to this family. We would adjust to that, simply. And like I said, I wouldn't even be that mad, because at that point, what does being mad do? They zigged when they should have zagged. And I don't think it has to screw up other people's lives. I would put pressure, because I think children deserve to be raised with their biological parents. So I would put pressure on her to marry that guy if the guy wasn't an idiot, because most people are like most other people. And at that age, like, I just have to end up taking on that kid as my son-in-law and figure out, was he stupid or was he just horny? And a little bit sloppy, right? So, like, what happened? And figure out and just raise that kid as, I picked up a son-in-law, and I don't think it would screw up anybody's life in a substantive way. And which is funny, because this is not the way I was raised in California. I was raised in California that if you have a kid when you're a teenager, your whole life is over. Your whole life is over. And that is just not true. And it's a bit of propaganda by a quality of thoughtlessness that I want to disabuse now. And that's one of the things I take seriously. You want to come say hi to the people? Come say hi to the people. This is my son. Come say hi to the people. Say hello, people.
Hello.
Say hello, people.
Hello.
Yeah, say, my name is Bayard.
My name's Bayard.
Very good. This is my son. One of the things I want to do is disabuse you, people, of the kind of nonsense that I grew up with, which is just simply not true. Now, maybe it's a cultural moment in the 90s and 2000s, or maybe it was just a part of California liberalism, but the idea that one unplanned child totally has to screw up your life, especially if you have a middle-class family, moderately middle class. And the only reason I'm middle class is because I'm in Georgia right now, and cost of living is cheaper here. By the way, if you want to, if you support what I'm doing and you think my kids should go to all the camps and get all the orthodontia, go ahead and go to www.funkyacademic.com and kick in $5, $15, or $50 a month, and I'll keep doing the show, and my kids get to go to better camps, and the money will go back into marketing and all of this stuff, and everyone will, what I do for the culture will get a better reach. All right, so let me go finish my show, and then we'll pick up your sisters, okay?
Okay.
Okay, say bye, people.
Bye.
All right. I gotta finish my show. So I was raised with the nonsense that one unplanned pregnancy screws up your whole life of everyone involved, and that's just not true. And apparently enough people were raised with that nonsense that they were willing to surrender their children to strangers for an entire generation, and it was just commonplace. And I think that's a bizarre cultural moment that's nowhere near to be true, because if I could do it, if my family could absorb an unplanned infant, that means that a lot of other families could. And what's interesting in this book is that they said this is more common among middle and upper middle class families, and poor and working poor families just absorb the infant the regular way. So this was about keeping up appearances. So they were peer pressured to keep up appearances by giving away their kid by surrendering their kids. And I find that that's gross and forms of abuse, actually, depending on who you talk to or how you define abuse. Like I said, if my daughter 14, 15, whatever, came home pregnant, I would be a little bit like, we'd have to plan some things, but it would not be the end of anyone's world. It would not be the end of anyone's world. I would absorb the infant. So there's some selfish grandparents out there pressuring their kids to get for adoption. It's gross. It's gross. We took something that didn't have to be a thing, and an awful situation, and made it into an awful situation. So either you force an abortion, which is kind of awful. I wouldn't want to force anyone on that. Or you give the kid up for adoption, which is, I think, also awful. Or you just absorb the kid and think of it as not that big of a deal, which I think is the way to do it. And the only caveat would be if the father was an idiot. If I find out the boy who I'm pregnant is actually dumb, that would make it hard. That would make me sad in a way that the other things wouldn't make me sad. But so be it. All right. Thank you for your time. If you appreciate what I'm doing, once again, go to www.funkyacademic.com, kick in $5, $15, $50 a month, and I will keep giving you a show. And I'm trying to disabuse people of the quality of conventional wisdom that's just not particularly helpful for anyone, right? So I was taught in California that if you get pregnant in your teens and you're unmarried, you screwed up everyone's life. And it turns out that's simply not true. That's only true if your family is kind of trash. Because if my daughters got pregnant, nobody's life would have to get screwed up. We would just have to work some other things out. And I'm not rich. We would just have to work some things out. I might do more than 1 or 2 shows a week to work it out, but we would just have to work out something. All right. Thank you for your time. And I'll talk to you next week. Peace. And by the way, put your thoughts in the comments on what you would do, and would it be a big deal, or would you push the abortion, or would you push adoption, or would you that, or would you just kind of absorb the infant and keep it moving? All right, take care. Bye. All right.